Yeousch!
Hello everyone, I'm ShrapnelTheory. It's been almost 15 years since the release of Final Fantasy VII, and one of the most hotly debated topics in the history of the RPG is still disputed amongst its diehard fans. Sure, and excuse me if I butcher these names, character designer Tetsuya Nomura, director and co-writer Yoshinori Kitase, and co-writer Kazushige Nojima have put in their first-hand 2 cents on the subject of who the puppet master really was. By and large, this should have laid the matter to rest, but I think we all know that's never gonna happen. With the upcoming release of Final Fantasy VII on Steam, complete with achievements, cloud save storage, and even a ridiculous character boosting feature, traffic on the game has picked up quite a bit, so this has reignited plenty of age-old discussions. To understand who or what was truly in control, one must totally comprehend the facts, so let's start by figuring out who these characters were. Jenova was an alien. The bitch was an alien. She was an extraterrestrial life form that traveled via meteor to the planet Gaia. This was about 2,000 years before the events of Final Fantasy VII. The impact zone was the northern crater, and it is known that Jenova first appeared to the ancient Cetra at the North Pole, which at the time experienced a more habitable climate. When Jenova crashed, it opened a wound on the planet. Thousands of Cetra attempted in vain to help Gaia heal itself, but it was something that only the planet could do over the course of many years. So as the planet directed its spiritual energy to the wound, the land around it became harsh and unforgiving. So as the Cetra prepared to leave their homeland, Jenova made its move. It appeared to them as their dead ancestors, by projecting psychic illusions or shapeshifting, and then infected them by what Ifalna, Aerith's mother, referred to as the virus, which drove the Cetra mad and transformed them into monsters. Jenova would then move from tribe to tribe and repeat the process. These actions would drive the Cetra to the brink of extinction. A group of remaining Cetra banded together and managed to imprison Jenova. How the hell they did that, I really don't know. I don't think anyone really knows. Perhaps some modified, souped-up, seal evil spell. Who knows? But Jenova was found 2,000 years later by Shinra's Professor Gast, and he mistook Jenova for a Cetra and conducted tests on it, including the injection of its cells into an unborn child. This child was the son of Professor Hojo and another one of Professor Gast's assistants, Lucretia. This creation would come to be known as Sephiroth. Now, as far as what Jenova is, a lot of people say that it is essentially a virus. While it is very easy to see why someone would say that, it is incorrect. Its cellular matter is what the virus is. What Ifalna refers to as the virus is Jenova's cells. Jenova itself is an extraterrestrial life form. It is an alien. Perhaps it is a cluster of organisms, but it is not itself a virus. Jenova's sentience is a matter of debate. Personally, I believe it simply does what it does on an instinctual level. It does not think about what it's doing. It just does it because that is what it does. You have to understand that. Because understanding that concept is critical in understanding who the true villain of Final Fantasy VII was. Jenova has a sole purpose, a singular motivation, and that is to act on its instincts, which is to eradicate life and move on. Sephiroth, on the other hand, is another matter entirely. When Sephiroth was born, he was told his mother's name was Jenova. With absolutely no knowledge of who his biological parents were, Sephiroth's childhood is pretty much a blur, but it's believed that he was basically bred for war. After all, Sephiroth was the original member of Shinra's elite soldier program, designed to be a unit comprised of troops with superhuman abilities. He was the first person to be injected with Jenova and Mako, but the only one to be injected with Jenova while still in the womb. Other soldiers were only introduced to the mix in adolescence or adulthood. When monsters started appearing in the Nibelheim area, Sephiroth and his team were sent to investigate. He happened upon Professor Gast's journals in the Shinra Mansion's library, where he connected the Jenova project to the only parent's name he ever knew. He was already suspicious that he was the product of severe Mako experimentation. Sephiroth began to believe he was the last Cetra. After all, Professor Gast mistook Jenova for Cetra, and his notes reflected this error. Believing that humanity now inhabited a world that rightfully belonged to the lost Cetra race, Sephiroth goes on a rampage, burns Nibelheim to the ground, and slaughters most of its inhabitants. Sephiroth made for the nearby Mako reactor, where he was confronted by Tifa, Zack, and Cloud. Both Tifa and Zack were critically wounded in their fight against Sephiroth. Cloud picks up Zack's sword and manages to surprise and stab Sephiroth, but this doesn't stop him from attempting to escape with Jenova's head. Cloud goes after him, but Sephiroth impales him through the chest. In a moment Sephiroth clearly didn't see coming, Cloud uses the leverage from the blade to toss Sephiroth into the lifestream that flows under the Mako reactor. The lifestream destroyed Sephiroth's body. Through sheer power of will, Sephiroth begins the process of piecing his physical self back together at the northern crater. Encased in Mako, his body absorbed the spiritual energy that endlessly flowed there in order to heal the planet's wound. So now we are 5 years away from the beginning of the events of Final Fantasy VII. So in the 5 years that Sephiroth's consciousness traveled the lifestream, he learned of the ultimate destructive magic, Meteor. So he and he alone concocts a plan to slam Meteor into Gaia. When Gaia produces lifestream energy to heal the wound inflicted by Meteor, Sephiroth will place himself at the center of it and absorb the energy and become a god. This is Sephiroth's plan. It is not Jenova's. Jenova does not influence this whatsoever. Not only does he apparently have full control over the Jenova cells within his own body, but he also has quite the stranglehold on Jenova cells in the bodies of others, including Jenova itself. When the Jenova specimen breaks out of Shinra headquarters in Disc 1, that is the cue that Sephiroth is on the move after 5 years of supposedly being dead. He forces the Jenova specimen to take his shape, to take Sephiroth's voice, looks, memories, abilities. Sephiroth himself states that this is the power of Jenova. Every time you face Sephiroth before you see him in the Whirlwind Maze encased in Mako, it is merely Jenova in Sephiroth's form that you are seeing. You never see the real Sephiroth until you see him encased in Mako. This even includes the killing of Aerith. So why is Sephiroth not only the true villain of Final Fantasy VII, but one of the greatest bad guys of all time? Because he is literally in your head from beginning to end. His presence is not so much seen as it is felt, constantly. The Jenova reunion theory clearly states that once Jenova's cells have been separated from the main body, they will eventually reunite into one. The will of Sephiroth is so great that the Sephiroth clones and the Jenova specimen itself migrate to the North Crater where Sephiroth's body is, rather than to Jenova in the Shinra headquarters as originally predicted by Professor Hojo. The entire time you are following around what you believe to be Sephiroth, it is nothing more than a piece of Jenova that Sephiroth is forced to take his form. You may recall following around a man with a number 1 tattoo on his hand. It's not Sephiroth because his body is in the North Crater. It's not Jenova because Jenova essentially functions as a second body for Sephiroth. On the other hand, clones are always referred to as wearing black capes and robes. You follow the man with a number 1 tattoo on his hand because there's a chance that it might be Sephiroth. However, it turns out to be a clone bent to Sephiroth's will that is out and looking for the black materia that he seeks. The reason why they are weak and Sephiroth is so strong is because Sephiroth was born from Jenova. The reason why Sephiroth is such a great villain is because he toys with your head till the very end. Even the final battle in the game between Cloud and Sephiroth is not an actual battle that's taking place in front of everyone to see. It is a battle of wills. It is nothing more than a metaphor for Sephiroth's final and total destruction. Jenova was merely a tool used by Sephiroth to facilitate the pursuit of his goals and motivations. The game shows you time and time again that Sephiroth not only knows what powers Jenova possesses, but that he, born from Jenova, has learned to manipulate those powers. In the end, Sephiroth was the puppet master, and Jenova was the puppet. The confirmation from the developers of the game only reinforces what the game already shows you if you're looking for it. I hope this video gave you some insight to the plot of Final Fantasy VII, and I hope for those of you that already know this information, that you found this video to be factually sound. This is the first of many story analysis videos that I will be doing for many types of games, and it is not the last that I'll be doing for Final Fantasy VII. This is also not the only type of content that I create. This is something new that I'm trying that literally no one else on YouTube is doing. Your feedback is critical and greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching. Fall out.
Yeousch!